And we're live. Hello, everybody.
Yay.
Let me put in here who we are going to be reading on really quick. And let me get that out of the
Mhm.
way. And just to start off, especially if you're watching playback, I have Aley and Kelly from Circle of Friends. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today.
Thank you for
Um,
having us.
I
Yeah.
had a blast on Monday with reading on Marilyn Monroe, and just like the day before, having seen them do a little blurb about the Amelia Earhart and her statue at I believe it's the White House or at one of the locations in DC. I think it's
Uh-huh.
just amazing that she's starting to finally get recognition, not just because of the mystery of her passing, but because of the history that she made, the legacy that she made, for
Right.
women, especially in aviation. So I just thought, oh, what a great read that would be. And you two ladies just like popped right in my head and said this would be, to me, a great fit. And I think it is.
Yeah, it
So,
is. It's great.
Well, thank
Thank
and
you.
you.
Heather.
yes. And hey, Jake,
Hi, Jake.
you girls should do Brittany Murphy sometime. Yeah, Brittany
Oh,
Murphy's
yeah.
kind of got kind of like a dark kind of cloud hanging over her
She
and her
does, but then
husband.
her husband also ended up being, yeah, it's
Poisoned,
very
yeah.
strange. Yeah.
Or that's the some people feel it was a poisoning, some people
Hmm.
felt it was her health, but I guess when you go and look at different facets of the story and from other channels, other viewers reading, it does seem kind of hinky. So
It does.
possibly on another live.
Yes. Good idea, Jake. Thank you for informing us that that's what you'd like to see.
Yes,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what's important. Our viewers tell us what they would like to see.
I know. We try to
Yeah.
help.
Yes.
It's really sad when you think about it that there are so many people that are famous or, well-known people, not necessarily from Hollywood, but just well-known names that have had these mysterious passings.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Really, really sad. Really.
definitely. You know what
Especially
else?
when they start to talk out about things in Hollywood, what they see,
Right.
especially now that Rose McGowan kind of helped blow the door open on Weinstein, and
Yeah.
now we're
Yeah.
starting to see what's really going on behind some of
Going
the
on behind
closed
the scenes.
doors. And I
Yeah.
think
And that's what the astrology says too.
Mhm.
That this is all you know what I would like to know, and I'm going to ask sometime. And that's Tony Dow, who used to be on Leave It to Beaver, and everybody said he was dead on the 26th, but he wasn't, and he died the next day. But can you imagine being alive and people saying, "Yeah, they're dead"?
And
Yeah.
then the next thing you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write his
Yeah.
name down.
I
I remember
agree,
seeing
Jake.
that the other day.
Jake says in the
I
chat
want to be
that
rich and
he
famous.
thinks being famous is overrated and that he
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
be rich, not famous. I've
And in
often
many ways,
thought,
you sell your soul kind of to the devil in a way,
well,
quote
I,
unquote, because of, you
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
what you have to do to get there.
I
As
think
you
Sure.
it's
like to
very
say.
sad. You hear so many stories about them not, I mean, it's not a set of problems that we might understand, but when
Yeah.
you think about it, we all experience this, but theirs is a whole other level. It must be
Yeah.
Definitely.
very difficult to navigate relationships. Who do you trust?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We've heard
And
so many stories of people that have been employed by stars, as personal assistants, accountants, whatever the case may be, and for years, and then all of a sudden, like they find out that they're bankrupt or whatever, right?
yeah,
Um, I can't
it's
imagine having
insidious.
my life like that.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'd be very
And Jake
difficult.
pulled
Definitely.
up something really interesting about, some people, say, oh, we had no idea. But I just saw a video too the other day, and even Oprah Winfrey is friends with Weinstein.
Wow.
And she
Oh,
knew all those, and everyone was saying, oh, well, we had no idea. And when he did
yeah.
get, caught,
Well, I
Uh-huh.
would like to
instead of,
add to that point, Heather, about Oprah Winfrey.
go
Now,
for it.
allegedly,
Yes,
for
YouTube, allegedly.
entertainment purposes only, and I'm saying that for YouTube as well as anyone who may be watching this now or on replay. Please don't come at me. I am only repeating information that I've heard, right? So
Hmm.
when Michael Jackson had the allegations made in the documentary, which it wasn't really a documentary because it was a one-sided view of the situation, but what I don't know what you call
Finding
that.
Neverland or Leaving Neverland, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those gentlemen, I'm referring to the producer, director, whatever the title is, took that production to a film festival. And the weekend before it was aired at the film festival, Oprah was spotted on like the director of the film festival's yacht with the director of Leaving Neverland.
Yeah.
And it just seems
the connections.
very fishy.
Yeah.
That movie was never slated to be there, and apparently one of the persons that like runs it, that like his wife somehow was involved, and it was very shady. And then in terms, she ended up having that interview with them, right?
Yeah.
After the movie premiered, it was very
that's right.
just odd. Jake says she thinks that she's Jesus.
Okay, we froze for a second. That's why I went, uh-oh.
Who did? Me? Or Kelly?
On my end.
Oh, on your end.
I started spinning on my end and we all froze, but I was like, oh no, not now.
I know. Happens on my channel all the time.
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey would be a really interesting read because she was there ready to do that interview after the showing of the documentary on Michael.
Yes.
And yet when her friend, got caught red-handed doing everything that he did, it was all like, oh, he's my friend. She wouldn't say anything about it, and so it's basically one hand wiping the others.
And that's the way it is in Hollywood, unfortunately. Yep, it really is. Yeah.
But the women we're reading on today
is not anything to do with that. Yeah.
Like her, she, was an extremely she was an extremely wild child. That's how they described her. I was watching the biography, and they said from an early age, her and her sister, they were tomboys. Her parents did the best they could to to be them proper ladies, and at a young age, they had wanted nothing to do with that.
I heard in one of the documentaries that I watched to that point, Heather, and I think this is I just thought it was cute, that the grandmother would come over and say to the mom, like, how come they won't wear bloomers and dresses and, dress like proper ladies? And she was like, I don't know. But secretly, the mom was not really into that. She wanted because she had to be a certain way, and she wanted her kids to just like be free. So he instilled that freedom in them, which I just think is lovely for that time, right?
Exactly. Sure. Oh my goodness, yes, because of the women, just finally having the right to vote, and I wrote down. One of the most things that like god awful things, or things that shock people most, is she wore pants, and they're like, oh my God, she's wearing trousers. But what I also learned about Amelia that I had no idea about was that she had developed her own fashion line.
I didn't know that either. Okay.
Yep, she had designed her own fashion line. I think a couple of her cousins I saw in the biography video.
Do you know what else?
Hand-me-downs, they loved it.
Your fashion line. Check this out. I it's just funny, right? When you hear these things, this little biography that I watched was like 6 minutes long, and it told like the most fascinating facts. She bought her what do you call it? Like the bomber style jacket, right? The fighter pilot jacket, as we probably know it to be, to go across, right? And she slept in it for like 3 or 4 days beforehand, so it wouldn't look new, because she wanted to look like I do this all the time. This is totally normal.
That's awesome. I can see her doing that.
Yeah,
exactly. She actually has, at the time of her disappearance, she had accumulated 6 accomplishments, records, excuse me. Women's world altitude record, 14,000 feet. Altitude record for autogyros or gyros on these types of planes, 18,415 feet. Women's speed transcontinental, first woman to fly an autogyro, first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, and the first woman to even fly the Atlantic Ocean. So
Mm-hmm.
six, records that she set.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I'm looking to see if there's, oh, and another thing too that was cool is that Eleanor Roosevelt became a good friend of hers.
Oh,
And
that's believable. Yeah.
Amelia
Yeah.
took her for a flight
Ah,
at night. And when they came back, Eleanor went to FDR. I want to learn how to fly. Send me,
good for her.
And he actually told her no, because she was the first lady. He couldn't take the chance of something happening to her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
she was a feminist straight out the gate. She worked towards the Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution, and she worked tirelessly to end discrimination against women in the aviation sector. And of course, from aviation, they'll trickle down to everything, just like Georgia O'Keeffe,
Right.
broke the mold and opened things up for women artists.
That's right.
Just
right.
going down the whole line of those women at that time and what they were able to do for future generations. And she designed her own fashion line. She did a lot of product endorsements and publicities that she really didn't want to do. She exhausted herself a lot for that because flying and doing all these flights were expensive.
Sure.
And so, she worked some small jobs. At one point, she taught English to immigrant children to make some money. And her very first plane that she bought was yellow, and she called it the Canary. So
that's awesome.
Hi, Vicki.
But there is just so much information. Hi, Karen.
Yes, hi, Karen. So just a note, one of the things I knew about her was that she had size 10 feet, which not everybody has. She had big feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was telling the ladies that she was born in Kansas, and then at some point her mom and father divorced and they moved to Medford, Mass. And my dad told me many times when I was growing up, because I didn't know my grandparents, that they were neighbors of the Earharts. And so, I'm sure he saw her coming and going, because she was born in, I believe, in 1897.
18. And I have that written down.
Yep. And my aunt was born in 1899. So they would have also been the same, peers, ages. But yeah. And she was a teacher for a while. I read that too. She was also
Isn't she a nurse?
Oh, I don't think so.
She did. Yes,
she was a nurse too. Oh my!
She was a nurse in Toronto.
Good for you, Jake.
First World War, and that's
Karen.
the site of the airplanes. That's what got into airplanes.
Right.
That she was nursing troops in Toronto and seeing the planes and the pilots coming in, and it was just like a whole world opened up to her. And I guess the reason that the parents did split was that the father was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Though he did take Amelia on her first plane ride. And she fell in love with it, and, he paid for some of her lessons and stuff. So he did support his daughter, even though the parents had separated and divorced.
Yeah.
Right.
In the biography that I watched, I thought this was super interesting. So apparently when she was a little girl, she built herself some sort of like a go-karty kind of idea, like a skateboard with a side, and hooked herself up on top of the shed and rolled off of it into a pile of leaves. Fat lip, bruises and stuff. And said to her little sister that it was like flying, and that's when she got the flying bug. So she like to tell that story, which I just think is so funny, right?
Yeah.
And they said she had a lot of, mishaps too. Everyone talks, all about her her accomplishments, but It took a lot of failures, a lot of
Oh,
car
sure.
crashes and near misses, but that never
Mhm.
scared her. She never gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I
And
love
I
that she
thought
was
that was
fiercely
just amazing.
independent.
Yeah.
Yes.
I read that she was married for a period of time, but I don't think it worked out. Is that was
Um,
right? Or?
well, because she saw what happened to her parents,
Right, right.
during marriage, and she couldn't understand. And she says if she's going to get into a marriage, she's not going to want to, end up that way like her parents did. But one of her main promoter, his name was D.B. Putnam,
Yeah,
something
that's
like
Mm.
that.
Hmm.
He was her publicist,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
and he actually they ended up spending a lot of time together. He was already married, and he had gotten a divorce, and I guess for like he tried 4 or 5 times to get Amelia to marry him,
Yeah.
and
Right.
the
I
family,
heard
the women
six.
said no, 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 no,
No.
don't do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But she actually, I think, wrote up one of the very first prenups.
Yeah.
And said, if you're going to marry, and this was the day before the wedding, I think. And she says, if you want to marry me, this is how things have to be. And
Yep.
she had made
Wow.
a list, and
Yep.
he
Uh-huh.
She
agreed
sent
to
them
them.
that.
And this
Okay.
was basically a marriage of partnership.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
they stayed
That's cool.
together. I believe they were married until the day she disappeared, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly from the
Right.
biography.
She's
Okay.
in the biography that I watched, Heather. It said that she had written this letter and sent it to him before the marriage. Like letter,
Yep.
Heather was just saying like she's keeping her own name. You know, I want to live apart, but I want to live together. Like in other words, I want to keep
Yeah.
my independence.
Wow.
A
She
And
was a
then,
modern marriage.
visionary then.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
big
visionary of a modern
visionary.
marriage. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then also upon her death, she had written a letter that if she ever passed, that he received.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
So we had a couple more people jump in really quick. Chase Zamo, hello, welcome.
Hi, Chase.
Did I miss anybody else? We had Vicky C jumping in. Hello, Vicky. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's Karen, and Karen said,
Yeah.
I have size 10 feet too.
It's
So,
okay. It wasn't meant to be a bad thing.
but back in 20 some odd, I mean, size 10 feet were probably like
Well, the reason I bring it up is they found a shoe on one of the islands,
Islands, a
and it
boot.
was
Yep.
this woman's size 10. So yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
interesting.
And she decided to, well, DB Putnam was like, well, if you want to get more in the publicity, you kind of got to stop wearing that, that funny hat, because she was wearing these very tight, like aviator hats.
Uh-huh.
So she gradually cut her hair to the point where so it wouldn't freak her mother out, cutting it off all at once.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
she was told not to smile too much because the gap in her teeth were not very fashionable or whatever.
Right.
But of course, we've seen the videos and stuff of her smiling, and it's basically, screw you, I'm going to smile, I'm going to be who I am. But she did
Isn't
cut
it
her
funny
hair.
that you mentioned that? It's in the Canterbury Tales, the gap-toothed woman, the wife of Bath, and it meant that a woman was really loose. And so when Madonna had it too, it's just interesting. It's interesting that comes up.
And Lauren Hudson too, the supermodel. She kept her
Right.
gap in her tooth also.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Karen says, I don't wear shoes, I call them canoes.
Oh, that's cute, Karen.
And Dean jumped in. Hello, Dean.
Hi,
Secrets
Dean.
of the Red Moon Tarot.
Yeah.
So, and
Cool.
Jake, no, I did not know about Shakira going to jail. I guess
Mhm.
tax evasion, I'm assuming. But
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
If how you play, it's going to catch up to you at some point.
Yep. It will.
So there were like 3 different theories as to what happened to Amelia, and she also, a lot of people just keep hearing about Amelia, but there was another life lost, and
Right.
his last name was Noonan. I'm trying to find out what his first name is. I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah.
But his last name was Noonan. He was her navigator, and he was good at celestial navigation.
Wow.
Because she wanted to make sure that she had everything. She sold her other plane, and then she got the plane that and I did write that down, and you would think I would know where I wrote this down. It was a certain type of plane,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot find it where I wrote it down. A Lockheed. There we go.
A Lockheed, yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Lockheed. And okay, here we go. The Lockheed Electra. And so she had, the update. This was like the state of the line plane at the time.
Yeah.
So she made sure that she had, the proper, because she wasn't really great at navigation. She was good at flying. So that's why she had Mr. Newton
Sure.
come with her. She needed a really good navigator. And so what happened is that they had taken off from, they were, let's see, flying cross trans navigation the world in her Lockheed. I was trying to write all the fancy words down, but yeah, Fred Noonan was his name.
Okay.
And he was her co-pilot, and he had over 20,000 miles of flight himself. So these two knew what they were doing.
Right.
They weren't just
Right.
doing this, and this was going to be her last flight too.
Yeah.
This was going to be the one that would bring in the most money because her fame had started to go down. Money wasn't coming in. Her and her
Right.
husband Putnam had gotten used to living a certain lifestyle, and she wanted to have one more record, and that was going across, the Pacific. But people don't realize, I didn't know how big the Pacific was. The Pacific is like 30% of the space on planet Earth. They said you could fit 5 moons across, the equator. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
had to make sure that everything was all planned and lined up so that when they left New Guinea, that their next stop was going to be to Howland Island.
Howland Island. Yeah.
Where they would refuel and then fly to Hawaii, refuel, and then from there go to California. Now, this is where things kind of get a little funny because they had made an arrangement with the U.S. Coast Guard at Howland Island. It was off of their ship, the Itasca, and the Itasca would be able to radio guiding what do they call those, the longitude, latitude, the degrees of where to follow, because Holland Island was so small,
Right.
and not many people, it was and being on the Pacific, especially with the clouds and everything, it would be visibly hard to, to be able to see. And so they had this already arranged that, they would be in contact with them to guide them in for them to refuel and take off. Well, for some odd reason,
Sorry.
fuel, there we go. So for some unknown reason, I don't know why this wasn't thought of ahead of time, but I'm sure it must have. So this is where it starts to get a little iffy for me. They said that it appeared that her radio communication frequency wasn't compatible with the one the Itasca had.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
the Itasca said that they could never get a hold of her. They never heard her calling for assistance like as they had planned.
Right.
So that to me is the first red flag.
I heard that to that point in that part of the story that and this is one of those things, right, where you hear all this different information and you're like, wait a minute, what? I heard that the maps that she was using were incorrect. And
okay.
She did have one communication with them, and then they lost contact with her.
Okay, now that's interesting because that was on the biography in another channel that I learned that from. So I will make note of that. So that they did get at least one. Okay. Because I thought that was kind of odd that they couldn't. And there were like supposedly other people with radios, like I think in America and in other surrounding areas, Hawaii and stuff, that said that they could hear what sounded like her saying, "This is Amelia Earhart," like an SOS that was put out. And so one of the theories is that they couldn't find Howland Island, and they had just enough fuel in their reserves for a couple of hours to go past to where they were supposed to land. And one of the theories is that they had ended up going to a Japanese island controlled by the Japanese called the called Marshall Island, and
Hmm.
one of the theories is that they had landed there, but they were taken as prisoner and they were executed.
Right.
No, I'm not sure if
Right.
that's true or not. So I thought that might be one of the theories that we could look into.
Hmm.
Plateau.
Okay. Wow.
As you're talking this whole time, I've been shuffling my
Yeah,
cards and
I've been hearing
falling
something.
out, and I'm like
Keep going,
following
Kelly, keep
along the
going.
story.
Yeah.
Hi, Hypnicity. Hi, Joan. Hi, Gina.
Oh, hello, Hypnicity, Joan B, Gina. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm
Thanks for
just walking
coming.
with the reading. Yes, thank you. And please, everybody, please like and subscribe to both Kelly's Dozen Cats channel and Aley Heart and Soul Connected, along following with Circle of Friends.
You
Thank
have
you,
so much
everybody.
They
to do.
support so many of us. So
Look
I
what
just want to
look what
shuffle.
just fell out. The
Oh,
mountains and a hole.
Now, is that
I
for
wonder if there were,
diviners?
do we know if there were any like big mountains on top of some of these islands?
Well, one of the islands that they think they may have landed on was called Niku Maroro, which was originally known as Gardner Island. Now, this
Uh-huh.
island was at that point known to be uninhabited.
Okay.
And when search planes went looking for her plane for them over by that island, they noticed that it looked like it had been a part of it had been inhabited, but they decided not
Not to stay.
to search there,
Right.
Okay.
and that made the heckles on the back of my neck stand up.
I think it's really interesting because you were saying about the communications, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, let's face it, what we're talking about, right? I feel like maybe the mountains might have had some interference or caused interference in their communication to the ship.
Yeah, I don't know the description of Howland Island. That would be interesting to look after that. I'm just going to shuffle on to see if they did a crash landing or a emergency landing on Marshall Island, and see if
So
they
I'm
had
going
any
to tell you what I just pulled. I have here, first of all, a Band-Aid. I think that means, to me, it means that they weren't hurt when they crashed, just small minor injuries. And of course, here's an island.
There's
It's
my
very
God.
fascinating. Yeah, yeah. There's something about this island that is a gold mine. So I don't know. I got a lasso,
Mm-hmm.
and I also, I got gold coins too. I got
Oh
the
my
gold
God.
coins. Yeah, I did. So there's something there, or there was something there. And I don't think they would have been carrying money themselves, but okay.
Mm-hmm. There's the war. Okay.
Maybe the people that were on the island thought these people were coming to their island to take the gold. Who knows? Because that can happen too. And this is how I got Amelia feeling. This her feelings at the time. She was very upset. So that's oh wow.
Now, for being taken prisoner on the Japanese island, one of the cards I usually pull three to get a really quick idea, and the middle one was just the moon upside down, distorted thought, irrational. So to me, that doesn't feel like that was the correct theory. Now, the island that they thought she might have gone down on that was uninhabited was also known as the Coconut Crab Island. And these things are huge, they're vicious, and they smell any type of blood, even a human blood. They said they will attack. So some people are feeling that if they did crash land in or around Gardner Island, that they may have. I mean, to me, that theory,
that's gross.
I don't know.
Well, that could also account for the fact that those crabs felt that they were a gold mine. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's like, oh, we got some.
With them.
Yeah.
So,
hey, listen, I don't know how you guys feel, but just based on some of the cards that have been falling out, well, Heather's been telling us, like the backstory, and can we ask if there was any like sabotage.
Yeah, that's what was one of the questions. I figured we go through like a couple of the main theories and then see, okay,
Yeah.
let's look into these other questions, you know, that
Yeah.
might be considered, you know, the conspiracy theories.
Sure.
Joan B said, moon upside down. Did she crash land at night and her view of the moon literally went upside down? That's possible.
Yeah, because they were doing a lot of flying at night. That's why she had the celestial navigator.
Navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not liking these cards, you guys.
For the sabotage?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I've always felt. I'm
Wow.
pretty sure the coconut. Yeah.
So what are we reading on right now? Whether or not this was sabotaged, or what are we doing?
Well, I was going to read on the second theory really quick.
Oh, please do. Okay.
If they had gone on Gardner Island. But yeah, I'm going to want to jump in with the conspiracy. I don't want to the other theories.
Okay.
What was the name of her navigator again?
Fred Noonan.
Fred
Noonan. Yeah.
Noonan. All right.
So we're doing the second conspiracy, or are we doing?
I'm doing the second theory of what happens to them with Gardner
Okay.
Island.
Okay.
I just want to see if that's a possibility.
Yep.
I don't even know if I should be using these cards or a different deck.
Oh my goodness.
For the second theory on Gardner Island, I got 9 of Cups, Clash of Ambitions. This is the one that just stood up, just jumped out. Clash of Ambitions, outer conflicts, rivalry, no unity, agreement, nothing in common.
Wow.
Goodness put out is return in abundance.
Wow.
Okay. And then 10 of Pentacles, well established. So while I have one right smack in the middle that, you know, is standing out, the other two don't. But although no, 10 of Pentacles, that's coins. That's gold. That's like a gold mine. So that might be like the same connecting with that island.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There might have been another resource on the island that besides
that was
crabs, but crabs, you know, people spend hundreds of dollars on, you know, good crab legs and stuff now. So that might have been considered a gold mine too back then.
Sure, of course.
I got the Wheel of Fortune. Followed by the 4 of Cups, which is interesting to me. Then I got the Strength card. On the bottom of the deck, I've got the 2 of Swords, and behind that, I've got the 3 of Swords.
Oh boy.
And I've got the 5 of Swords, and I've got the Emperor. I'm going with the next theory. What you got? What did you get, Aley?
I got a graveyard first. So wherever they landed, I don't know if this was it or not. They found people already there that had crashed before, or were there, or it was their graveyard. Yeah. They made a fire. I have a fire here. That could also be the crash. I see flowers, but probably not. You know, not anything you could eat. And look I got the airplane as well.
Oh my goodness.
And I get the knife. I think that it, you know, wherever it was, that, you know, it was their demise. So who knows how long they might have lived. Yeah.
Now, Aley and Kelly, what's interesting about talking about remains in the graveyard on Gardner Island, the coconut crab, people call it the coconut crab theory. There were human remains of a man that had been found. They were boxed and sent away. There was a piece of metal that looked like it was the same type of metal that was on her Lockheed airplane. There was a woman's boot.
That's where the boot was? Okay.
There was also a broken bottle of freckle cream because she had freckles and she didn't want people to see them, so she used freckle cream. And all of this was found, boxed, sent away, and nothing was said about it once anymore.
Oh my goodness. So
And
it's
that
very
was it for them.
possible that they were there and those were the only remnants of what
Mhm.
was left over. It was their graveyard.
Yep. The last
Yeah,
theory was they just crashed and sank, but I think there's way more to this story than
I
I
that.
do
think,
too.
I
Yep.
think, based on the cards that I just threw, if you will indulge me,
Sure.
I have it. I don't even know if this is a theory or not, but literally this is what I've got. So the cards that I've got, and I used my pendulum. I think that, I'm sorry, what was the navigator's name again? I'm like
Noonan.
Fred
Newman.
Noonan.
Fred Newman was in love with her. And I think that when they crashed, that they decided to stay there.
Oh.
It wasn't it I mean, even though they crashed, they liked the fact that they were alone and they were able to sustain themselves, right? She was very independent, she was very smart, very wise, right? Um like the first card I got was Love Potion, right? Then I got Farmer. I think it was tearing their guts up. But I think they made the best of it. I got Fairy. I got the Self. Whoops. Yeah, I got the Self. They had nowhere to go, so they just decided to make the best of it. And then, really interestingly, I got the Waterfall. So just surrounding themselves in that environment and just making the best
There's
of it.
nothing they could have done if they crashed. It would take, they probably weren't, it took years probably for them to even
Right.
get out to that island, I would
I
imagine.
asked
Yeah.
with my pendulum if Fred Newman was like if he was in love with Amelia, and I got a yes.
As you said that, guess what my last card was?
There you go.
Oh.
Yep.
So the first one I got was the Four of Swords, taking a break, reflection, recovery period. And it's interesting, recovery period.
Recovery. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the middle card, which is interesting, it said bad reviews, no recognition, just seeking praise and fame, and success blocked. So for me, the one that stands out is the success was blocked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, did they
Because her
choose to?
husband was pushing her, right? Her husband, the promoter, was pushing her, and she didn't
Yeah.
want to do anymore. Plus,
Yeah, this
I
was
also
supposed to be
heard
her last hurrah.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and I also heard in that little documentary that I watched that she had issues or was starting to develop issues with her sinuses, and so. I mean, today you can't be a pilot if you have like hearing issues,
Yeah,
right?
she got sick off the smell of the gasoline fumes and stuff. She had
Right,
to really be
right.
careful when she flew
So
because of that.
so if he was pushing her to do all these talks, as you had mentioned before, that she didn't want to do for these sponsorships and different product lines and stuff, I just think it's really interesting that there seems to be something there for me.
I pulled this card though. I really think that she was so close with her mom and her sister that she would never have done this by choice. This is, you know,
Right.
this was a longing that she had, maybe not for her husband, but definitely for her family. But I don't think they had anybody out there to save them. So what choice did they have? They had to make the best of their situation. Yeah. Hi,
I ended up
Viviani.
voting. Hi, Viviani. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
sweetheart. Thank you. Please, yes, subscribe to everybody here. Yes, please. I got the King of Swords reversed, and this is interesting. Cold hard truth, mentally unprepared. So this trip might have been more than she had mentally thought she could be prepared for. Weak underlying concept. I know, Kelly, you said that the maps weren't quite right, and unethical. So something, I think this was a bit of a sabotage in a way that
Yeah.
they,
Mm-hmm.
because when I get the word unethical in there, but then I also get emotional, bully, manipulative, insensitive, cynical. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds like what
Her
my
husband.
family didn't want her to marry that guy because
Right.
GP was because that's how he was. And then the last card
They
again.
said that he had a very that like he was generally speaking he was a nice guy, but when he had a volatile temper, and when his
he was
temper
hot-headed.
he was evil.
Hot-headed, yeah. There you go.
Hot-headed,
Yeah.
unpredictable, brash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering though, if they did crash, if they decided to remain, or did they get found, but they chose to somehow.
I don't think they would have stayed there.
Because
That's just my gut feeling.
So how
Yeah.
would you survive on an island that is uninhabited and all you have are coconut crabs to survive on?
Well,
I mean, there's no real
fish,
fresh water.
right? There's fish. There's
This is true.
I mean, we don't know. Like, what does uninhabitable mean in
37. Yeah.
1937? Does it mean that there wasn't a hotel and a restaurant, or does it mean like there was like no vegetation on the island?
It depends. Yeah.
Right.
It depends. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's
They didn't even have a Wilson. They didn't have Wilson there
no,
either.
They didn't have Wilson either.
Now there was a couple of conspiracy theories. One of them, like I just mentioned, was did her plane actually crash? Or another one was she contacted by the U.S. government to spy? Because who would suspect a woman flying an airplane or flying across the Pacific?
Well,
so
yeah,
that was a conspiracy theory.
Well, but we were really heading our way into the World War II situation, and even though it was several years away, it's very possible. Like Mata Hari was over there doing that kind of thing. She was a spy.
They weren't far from the Marshall Island, which
right?
was owned by Japan,
owned by the
Emperor Hirohito at that time.
Right at the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she was contacted. She might have been contacted by the U.S., but whether or not
if they found her and they took her out of there, that might make sense. They picked her up and took her out and secreted her away, but they I don't think that they would have ever done that at that time. It wasn't the same as it is today. I don't know. Yeah,
all kinds of cartoons out there.
Vicki, we're kind of looking at all of the ideas. Maybe the Japanese did capture them. That's another one of the conspiracy theories, isn't that right, Heather?
Yeah, that was one of the conspiracies. Yeah. That was the first theory. Actual, it wasn't considered a conspiracy theory. It was an actual theory because not far from Howland Island, they had enough gas to be able to get to, and maybe they flew towards that way thinking maybe this was the island, and instead they landed on this island. And when I asked
our maps were messed up
by the U.S. government, I got the 7 of Pentacles reversed. So it doesn't feel like it was planned. No. But then I got 10 of Pentacles building upon. I think it was no. She just wanted to continue building her name, building her legacy. And then the last card I got, though, was the 3 of Swords, too. I got the cruelty card. So I think that what actually possibly had her end up giving up that, 10 of Pentacles, that last victory run, had to do with something that truly, a betrayal. So now was the betrayal on behalf of the co-pilot, the husband, or an outside? I don't think it was the co-pilot because his life was at stake too. So I don't think he had anything to do with that.
That's interesting, Vicki. Vicki says that there was supposedly a picture of Amelia on a dock after the crash.
Yeah, but when they found out, when I was watching the video, that picture was taken, they found out, or at least stated, according to the video, that picture was taken like 2 years before that flight ever took place. Yeah. So it's whether or not they're juggling dates to try to keep certain things under wraps. One of the other theories, conspiracy theories or claims, I should say, was that the Japanese captured, and there were witnesses that said that they were beheaded, captured and beheaded on the island of Saipan. The Marines captured the island in 1945,
Hmm.
They said, well, according to them, they saw her locked there. They also found their IDs, visas, and maps
Okay.
belonging to her. And when another individual, they only gave his last name as Divine, they didn't give the first name, but Navy intelligence operatives started interfering when this guy Divine started trying to find people who have been in there that claim to have witnessed this to say, what did you really see? This was even in
Hmm.
Connecticut, and he started getting followed, and his investigations, he was being interfered with by the Navy intelligence operatives. So
Sure.
that's, another one. So was
Yeah.
it that they crashed land and they just lived the rest of their lives out on that island, or were they, you know
You know
Moved to
that
Saipan. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
used my pendulum and I asked if the Japanese captured her, and I got a no.
okay, because there were claims of IDs and visas and things and stuff like that, and that might have just
Right.
been a story, a cover up to throw off what really happened. So
Well,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Remember, we didn't have people doing all kinds of news stuff
yes,
all over the
right,
world. You know.
and it
The
took
right.
other thing I
news to
thought
get
of.
to other places a lot longer than it does now.
The other thing I thought of was she was about 38 or no, she was about almost 40.
Hi, Yoda. Yeah.
She was almost 40. That was old then. That was
Yes,
actually really old then. And for her to be
yes.
Yeah.
doing it at that age was
Yeah.
kind
She
of
was
weird. Yeah.
I think they said she was like 36 or 37 around the time of this
Well, she
last
was
one.
born in 97, and this was in 37. So 39, almost 40 when this
Yep.
happened. Yep.
Now there's
So,
Wow.
also
yeah. Yep.
I just asked if Amelia Earhart was forced by her husband to make the trip across the Atlantic, and it's still swinging yes. Like,
yeah.
huge yes.
Hmm. If he was the publicity person, then that's true. Yeah.
Okay. She was
Oh,
born
Hilda,
July
she was
20.
in her prime, but at that in 1937 to be 40 would be
Like,
Yeah.
really, really over the hill or headed that way. Yeah. Not so much
I
like that today.
I
Yeah.
did write down her birth date. She was born July 24th, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas.
Yep.
she's a Leo. Woo woo! Shout out to my
Yep.
Leo
Well,
peeps.
there you go. There's that energy, that
Yeah.
fiery energy.
That's why I keep getting this strength card.
Now
Yep.
there was a so apparently some wreckage was found
Okay.
within the last few years or so, within the past 5 to 6 years. And I'm looking for the name of the guy who discovered the Titanic wreck, Baird. He was a part of, and I'm looking for the name that I wrote down of this place, Friendship Flight, Baird and Mechanic. Alrighty. Well, there is a group that goes searching for wreckages, missing planes. They're called the Blue Angels
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Foundation.
Yep.
I know I wrote it down some here, but there were when people go looking for, here we go, information overload was the channel 4 years ago. Wreckage found encrusted in Papua New Guinea. Project Blue Angel is started searching the site. They actually sent a sponge diver because they collect sponges and then they bring them up and they sell them
Uh-huh.
you know to tourists and whatnot. And so they sent a sponge diver down, and they gave them, there's 5 things to separate this plane from others to be hers. One, a twin engine. Two, a twin tail. Three, door on the pilot side. Number four, the loop up front for navigation. And five, a spar as the antenna. When the young man came up from the dive, he said the plane matched all 5 of these. Um,
Wow.
Oh.
but one other individual brought something up. I don't know who it was, but someone said it was actually her plane should be a 2-blade propeller. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but they're trying to get funding at this
To go
time,
back
back
down.
then, to
Mhm.
go back down. His name, Project, his last name is Baird, Baird. He was the one that helped find the Titanic wreckage. And they said even if they go down and they discover that this is not her plane, if there are any remains, they make sure that they get sent to the family for proper burial and to give the
Sure.
family closure. Now, another conspiracy theory, and there was no, explanation as to why or how this came about, was that she did survive. She did go back to America, and but she changed her name, and it was to Irene Bolam. I guess it's Bolam or
Wow.
Lam. And that was it. And I was like, okay, why? But there was nothing else. That was the only thing that was stated as a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, well, where did the name Irene come from in the first place? There has
I got
to
an
be.
absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Well,
So
Ally's more.
another one to throw off people.
Well,
So
I actually got a yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh.
I got a yes. So I got her plane crashed, but
Yeah.
not with her in it.
And the plot thickens.
I know, right?
I would just I'm going to throw on to see if this plane that was located and had the 5 proper markings to possibly be her plane. I'm going to see if
off of Papua New Guinea.
That's true or not. Yeah.
Papua New Guinea, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They said they found an encrusted plane, Papua New Guinea.
I get a clear yes. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
So that should be
total
her.
yes. That was, yep, I got a total yes.
Let's see.
Okay, so based on what Hilda just said, right? Oh, maybe she ejected. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So is the question, then I guess the next question I'm asking my pendulum is was she found? Or did she survive? I guess that's it. Did she survive?
It's interesting because in any of the videos or written things that I've seen, there has not been one mention of her or Noonan's chairs where they could eject from.
Right.
I haven't come across any of that.
They probably
so
didn't.
I pulled the fire inferno. There was an inferno. That plane burned, and maybe on takeoff. Who knows? I got first tunnel, then I got this fire, and then broken heart. So, was it foggy that night? Do we know?
That was one of her problems. The fog, the cloud covers, because she wasn't very good at navigation and needed someone to navigate for her.
Yeah. Okay.
That was one.
And if he couldn't see the sky to navigate because it was cloud cover or there was some kind of an issue, then that might have they could have ended up turning themselves around. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And if they took off, they could have. Yeah.
Now, I asked about the plane being, her for the remains of the plane. I got the High Priestess, which I found very interesting, and then I got the 8 of Cups walking away.
Okay.
And then I got the King of Wands again, upside down, bossy, domineering, too aggressive. So I think she walked away from that, did not want to go back to the husband. And then I got the 9 of Swords reversed, and that's diminished anxiety.
Oh.
So
once that was done, yeah.
So I'm.
Of course, she could have been on the other side with diminished anxiety as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, diminished anxiety for her because she didn't have to go back to him.
Right.
I think that you are right, Joan, that only fighter jets have ejection seats, but she would have. I mean, I'm just asking the pendulum questions. I don't know if I'm right or not. I've got that she survived the crash because she wasn't in the crash. She got out before the plane You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It is possible, Aley, that the plane sort of like combusted as it hit the water.
Yeah.
Like a part of maybe the fuel tank, blew up or something. But when it hit the water, it parts of it still
broke,
was, right?
Because they're doing right now. They're doing a remember that Malaysian Airlines that mysterious. I was watching on 60 Minutes in Australia, and they're saying if you hit the water at a certain speed, everything just blows apart. And of course that's even more with a jet, but that again might be an interesting thing. They're redoing that whole investigation to see if they can find those people too.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they said when you hit that water, it's like hitting rock.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Everything shatters. Everything breaks.
I think the hardest thing is that the planes in and of themselves would have only been around for about 30 years. And they used them in World War I, but not that many. It was World War II that it was an air war. So we're dealing with a really new kind of industry with a really new kind of vehicle for transport, and we don't really know enough about it from their perspective in history.
That's right.
That's the only thing
Right.
It was a long time
wouldn't
ago.
have had all like the navigation
Stuff like we do,
and the safety precaution.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yes.
She was an experienced flyer and she knew what to do. And I said, did she survive the crash? I just asked, and I got the Emperor, responsible leadership, making rules. So yes, she knew exactly what she was doing. I got Queen of Cups reversed. She was unhealthy. Walking away from being unhealthy, emotionally depleted from what the husband was having her do. And then she created her own future, the Magician. She walked away and created a new life. So she might have changed her name. I don't think it's necessarily, I mean, that name's kind of strange how that came up, but it's just unfortunate because that completing that would have given her such an incredible amount of fame. Not just that she wasn't really into the fame. She just
but notoriety,
accomplishment
right.
for her, not
exactly.
for anybody else.
And for women who
100%
were breaking out and doing things that men did, and you didn't do that at that time.
So we're almost at an hour. Did we want to go ahead and just see what message Amelia would like to share with everybody?
Sure.
I've got my news stack out for that.
Okay.
I'm going to use some positive cards, I think.
I'm feeling right away that she just prefers to have the mystery of her disappearance just
disappear.
Let that overshadow her accomplishments, her accolades and what she helped pave the way for women, not just in aviation, but I mean, could you imagine if she had been alive to see the first woman into outer space as an astronaut,
or like the Concorde, get from here to England and no time flat.
So I have the theater mask shows up first, and she had some notoriety, but she had conflicting feelings. And of course, she would have had conflicting feelings about a lot of things, including the way her husband was pushing her. So I think that that's important. Here also, she said, I've had a lot of time to see my soul and to understand that and self-reflect on the way that I live my life. And I've been able to do that since I've been on the other side. She said, be very careful, stay guarded, ladies. Always keep your guard up. She says, become, part of the resistance. Don't let somebody tell you what. I sense that she would be really mad about Roe v. Wade.
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah.
I feel like she's like Ruth. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, sort of like that she would be like her sister. You know what I mean? Like, very like independent, fierce, passionate, that kind of person.
Yeah. Hi, Mama Bear.
Hope you're
Yes,
feeling
hi,
better.
Serena.
Yes, I do too. I think she was going to be released from the hospital today. So take care of yourself, sweetheart.
Beautiful cards I got.
So I got for her 8 of inspiration. Just keep
Mhm.
blazing forward. There
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
she blazed a trail. She's continuing guiding others, especially young women
Mhm.
or a woman of any age, really, because I could see her going age, you know, throwing back her head and rolling her eyes. Piece of
Yeah.
materials,
Uh-huh.
just just being a I'm trying to figure out what she's it's the success. It's not necessarily the material for her. It was just her connection to because she was a
Right.
tomboy. So for her, it was the connection to earth, to the air, to all the elements. That's what made
Absolutely.
her feel alive. 10 of emotions, enjoy life, celebrate it, celebrate all the small accomplishments, no matter what it was. And 2 of voices, like Elliot said, make sure, ladies, you know exactly what choices you are making.
That's
Um,
right.
that's your future right there. That's the doorway that you walk through, and make
That's right.
sure that
Everybody's is different. Right.
you're walking
Right.
the right path towards that door, and not anybody else's. Ignore anything
Yep.
else that might be distracted, but you connect to that higher self of yours.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I want to put my cards up this way because I want to show you guys what I got. So, Heather, that first card that you pulled,
Mm-hmm.
that like orange sun or orange moon on it, look at
Yeah.
that. I pulled
Oh,
4
yeah.
cards and they're all the same color,
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Look at
Awesome.
that. So
Yeah.
it's all about the
Moving
orange, all
forward.
about the fire, and she is a fire sign. So she's
Mhm.
I feel she's really talking to me, or to us. I mean, the first card I got was stretch yourself, and I don't know this card
Perfect.
always like a mole, and I know it's not, but that's what I got. So it's time to move past your comfort zone and into the unknown, right? We've got the eclipse in Aries collaboration. Look at all those hands joining forces. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I feel like this is speaking to what you were saying, Aley and Heather, about her standing up for women's rights and being so proud of,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boosting
Especially at her time. In her time. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, she was a standout, right? Boosting relationships through teamwork and compromise, and she was a master at that to get to where she got to
Mhm. Yeah.
at that time. Fire and passion. I mean, she is a fire sign. She was passionate, and she
Uh-huh.
believed in what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I got goosebumps all over, feeling really good
Me
about it.
too. I
We've
just
got
Yeah.
love all these
golden
cards somebody's been
unicorn,
getting. This is just great.
right?
Uh-huh.
Ascension.
She was a unicorn in her time period.
Really
Yes.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awaken to your soul's potential. So,
Uh-huh.
don't
Yeah.
stop dreaming, right?
Uh-huh.
I
Continue
mean,
to
she
shine
flew
your
to
light.
14,000 feet. I mean, that's incredible.
That's as high as Mount Rainier. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. And Jake had asked a question. He had said, was she meant to go that way? And I think she.
You know what they say that you if people die when they're doing their passion,
Mm,
that
Yeah,
they're
it's
probably the
choices
most
made.
happy. But I think she
Mm-hmm.
was, she made that decision before she came down, which what she wanted to do with her life, and she had accomplished pretty much everything she
Yeah,
wanted to do.
it's
So
kind
I
of
would
like
like to
those
think that.
faking your death and leaving,
Yeah,
walking behind, and starting a new one. So that's a possibility. I think I'll throw in that a little bit later and see
yeah,
what I get
it's possible. It says it's possible.
possible.
Yeah,
So there we go.
but yeah, I mean, if we see these folks that have died in tragic ways, and a lot of their kin will say something like, they died doing what they loved,
They love
and
right.
I hope
exactly.
that's exactly what she felt. Awesome. That
Oh,
was fun.
ladies,
That was
thank
good.
you. Yes, I enjoyed
Thank
that. And
you.
I loved it. I was able to just keep reading, and Kelly was just whipping out the cards. I love that. That was great. Just like keep them coming,
Yeah.
keep them popping. You and Allie, it was just perfect.
Thanks,
It just
Heather.
matching with everything.
And thanks everybody in the chat. You were great.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
coming. Please
Yes.
remember to hit subscribe, not just to myself, but to these wonderful ladies and their channels as well. And is there anything you ladies want to share that you've got going on either tonight or into the weekend?
Tonight we have our fire pit on Kelly's channel at Dozen Cats. So come by and see us. Bring your s'mores with you.
Your s'mores and your shellos. Short form for marshmallows.
So that's
it.
Going on for the weekend? Nope. Going to chill out, kick back, relax.
Gonna kick back a little.
It started like that because it's a long weekend here in Canada. My intention was to have a long weekend, but it didn't really work out that way. But anyway, I'm pleased. I'm thrilled. I don't mean it to sound ungrateful or unappreciative, but so tonight we're doing the fire pit, and then tomorrow Aley and I are on with Ron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also for his Saturday fun night. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And will you ladies be doing readings? You mean Jake tonight? Will you ladies be doing
at the fire pit? Yeah, we'll be doing some readings. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Jake.
Yeah.
And you're welcome, Hilda. Thank you again so much to everybody for joining us. And everyone have a beautiful day and a happy and safe weekend. And we'll see y'all on the flip side.
There you go. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.